Wow. That was terrible. Maroon, oof. What a terrible, terrible loss last night. And so let me just break it down here. This is the Mike Missanelli Show. Thanks for joining us. I assume that everybody out there is going to be very active with their opinions. So let me give you mine right away. Let's get real. They didn't lose the game because it was a bad call on 3rd and 3 and Saquon dropped the ball. Now, that would have locked up the game, but they lost because Vic Fangio's defense allowed the Atlanta Falcons to boat race down the field with no aggression on defense, no pressure on the quarterback, no coverage down the field, soft as Charmin, and the Falcons get down the field to win the game. They snatched the feet right out of victory. I've never seen anything like it. Oh, one moment they're covering with a lock win, and the next minute they lose to the Atlanta Falcons because their defense let them down. And while I'm at it, let me go into this. They can't stop the run. Their pass rush stinks. They don't utilize the tight end, nor anybody else except in that game last night, Devontae Smith. They have zero dynamics with their end rushers. Zero. And I'm looking at a statistic about the middle of their defense, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and whoever else they put in there. What have they got, like 2 tackles and no sacks in the first couple of games? That is a flat-out disgrace. But I know people are going to look at the easy thing. There's Saquon. It was a bad play call. It wasn't a bad play call. If you're going to laud the coaching staff for being aggressive to win a game instead of just not losing it, that's an overtly aggressive play call that should win the game. The play call was not what Atlanta was expecting. You had Saquon Barkley open in the flat. All he had to do was catch the ball. He didn't catch the ball. But when he didn't catch the ball, they're still up by 6 points. And they managed to lose the game. All the gang's all here. Bill's here. Bill said it was going to be a close game. Ray's here. Bill, I don't know if you agree with what I just said, but I'm looking at the game. I'm going, okay, everybody's coming. Here's the easy mark. Oh, Saquon dropped the ball. Oh, it was a terrible play call by Kellen Moore. No, it wasn't. It's a call that should have locked up the game. It's a call that an aggressive team, if they make that first down, man, that was ballsy. It just didn't happen, but they still had the lead.
Surprisingly, Mike, you and I are eye to eye on this one, man. I don't mind that play call at all because not only is it an aggressive play call, it's actually a pretty safe play. If Saquon's not open, Jalen Hurts just keeps it. He just keeps it. He stays in bounds, and now you run out the clock. But when it's right there for you, Saquon's wide open, the play should have worked. Game over. You don't even need to kick the field goal. You run the clock out. There's a lot of blame to go around in this football game. Yes, you can blame Nick Sirianni, not for that play. And even kicking the field goal after that play, I don't have a problem with. I didn't like Sirianni going for it in the first quarter. Comes back to haunt you.
Nobody liked that, and yet here comes these analytical statistics that they rely on, and the announcers even announced it. You saw it was a go, right? Analytically, it was a go. So, like, you can't have it both ways. You're going to complain about them following analytics, and they say, well, they should have. Yeah, in hindsight, you go back and, yeah, they should have kicked the field goal.
Didn't like it in real time, but that was the one decision I didn't like when it came to coaching. When you look at the blame for this football game, and people want to blame Saquon, they want to blame Kellen Moore, they want to blame Nick Sirianni. For me, it's this defense. This defense is terrible. They are the worst rush defense in the NFL in terms of yards per carry allowed. They sit at 32nd out of 32 teams through 2 weeks.
It's a joke. And they supposedly have, like, they beefed up their defensive tackles to prevent something like that. Listen, I can't not focus on this last drive. I saw a team with a 6-point lead where the defense didn't put up a fight to let that team go all the way down the field. It's incomprehensible to me.
It is incomprehensible, and I've been saying on this show a lot, and people come at me all the time when I ridicule the greatest general manager to ever exist, Howie Roseman. He's a good GM, but he has failed the personnel on this defense 2 years in a row now. You look at his acquisitions. Devin White can't even make the active roster on game day. He was a big free agent signing. Bryce Huff, I don't even want to use his first name anymore because I don't want to bring bad mojo to Bryce, who's going Red October shortly. But Huff can't do anything. Nolan Smith, I said it a couple weeks ago, doesn't pass the eye test for me. I think he's going to be a major bust. He continues to prove me right. The pass rush is non-existent. Your defensive tackles outside of Jalen Carter, who didn't play great last night, Milton Williams, who had a sack. Where's Jordan Davis? Another Howie Roseman
See, this
pick.
is the thing. Listen, nobody can argue the fact that they have terrible edge rushers. And that lays at the feet of Howie Roseman. You're going to come back to Brandon Graham. I know. The sentimental thing. He can't play anymore. Bryce Huff looks lost. Nolan Smith looks like a bad pick. And Josh Sweat, what's the need to bring him back? I mean, come on. You're making evaluations on guys and hoping that they can get to the quarterback. None of them have any kind of dynamic to get to the quarterback like most teams have. But let's go to the tackles. They supposedly button that up by grabbing those Georgia guys, by having Milton Williams in there. They're getting destroyed with the run.
Mike, it's now 11 straight opponents who have put up over 100 yards rushing against the Eagles' defense. The 9 games before that, they had only let one opponent go over 100, and it was an overtime game in Washington. Now it's been 11 straight. That rushing defense is broken, and I don't know how you fix it.
7.8 the first week, 5.4 the next week. B.J. Robinson is a good player. I get it. But they're getting steamrolled. And that's what I did not expect with this Fangio defense. And to boot, he's not an aggressive defensive coordinator. He's not going to blitz, right? So when I'm looking at it going, okay, you got to get some kind of pressure on the quarterback, especially on the last drive. They play so scared. On that drive, they're playing scared because they want to drop guys in coverage. They get no pressure on the quarterback. That guy, when he has time, can sizzle it. And he did.
Yeah, you got to do something. When you're not getting there with your edges, Fangio's got to scheme up something, but the personnel's not good enough. So I agree with you. I'd like to see Fangio be a little more aggressive, but at the same time, I don't think he has the personnel to work with. I don't think they're that good.
When we sat there watching him draft Georgia guys, we go, man, that's really savvy. Draft Georgia guys. Carter, Davis, Nolan Smith. 2 solo tackles, 1 quarterback hurry, no sacks, and no big plays. That's what they've gotten out of these 2 guys, these 3 guys, in the first 2 games. But I just can't, like, the juxtaposition of them losing, because everybody looks at it. I'm seeing social media last night. I know, Ray, you took a lot of calls last night on the post game. And I'm going, oh, what a terrible call. It's wide open. The play is wide open. It's not a play that Atlanta even defended. And Saquon doesn't, like, okay, he was a beast all game long. He caught a couple of balls, right? I had an argument with John Kincade on the way out. He goes, why would you throw to a guy who's got a terrible track record of catching balls? Well, he didn't have a terrible track record last night. He caught a couple of balls. All right?
They ran that exact play. The one that was originally ruled a touchdown, but his knee was down at the 1.
Right.
That was the exact same play.
I'm trying to stick up for him. He looked off the ball and he dropped it. It happens. But the play call, people go, oh, it's a bad play call. You should have run the ball. I get it. But you also wanted to be aggressive to seal the game, right? Well, you should run it, and then you need to kick the field goal, and then more time. I get that, but they're not anticipating that ball is going to stop the clock because it's wide open. He's got to catch it. It's like if he catches it, there's no clock problem.
And the argument John made this morning, and I see a lot of people on Twitter making, is if they ran the football, they had a 97% chance of winning the game. Guess what? Saquon Barkley catches that ball 99 out of 100 times, and if he catches it, you 100%. Win the game. So now it's a 99% chance of winning the damn game.
And I know people are going to go, disagree on the play call. Well, Well, you're only going to disagree because the ball went off his hands, right? In a perfect world, you go, man, that's an open play. Look how aggressive that is. That wins the game for him. How about that? It's funny. We want it both ways in this town. We like when they're aggressive, and yet we reserve the right to criticize the play call. I'm not going to criticize the play call, but there's so many other things that you can criticize. And if you want to criticize the play call, knock yourself out. I'm just going to tell you, I don't agree with you. I thought it was a fine play call. It's wide freaking open.